Ladies and gentlemen, Psalm 91 carries within it one of the greatest promises ever given to humankind, the assurance that God Himself will be our protector. When we read the words, "He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust," we are reminded that divine protection is not a vague hope or a distant dream. It is a present reality for all who place their trust in the Almighty. This assurance does not mean that life will be free of challenges. Instead, it teaches us that even in the face of difficulties, we are surrounded by a shield greater than anything we can see. The image of a fortress conveys strength, security, and unshakable safety. Just as a fortress guards those inside its walls from enemies and storms, so does God guard those who lean on Him with unwavering faith. This protection is not limited to physical safety alone. It extends to every part of our being, our mind, heart, soul, and spirit. The psalm speaks of deliverance from the snare of the fowler and from deadly pestilence. These words reflect dangers that are both visible and invisible, both natural and spiritual. The traps and pitfalls of life, the diseases and disasters that can strike without warning. All these are under the authority of God's protective hand. His protection is not occasional, it is constant, covering us in ways that often escape our understanding. The imagery of being sheltered under God's wings adds another layer of comfort. Just as a mother bird spreads her wings to shield her young from harm, so does God extend His covering of love over His children. This is not just symbolic, it is deeply personal. It means that His care is tender, intentional, and unceasing. In moments of fear, when the weight of uncertainty presses upon us, remembering this image restores calmness to the heart. The assurance that we are hidden under His wings gives courage to walk through each day with confidence. Moreover, divine assurance of protection teaches us about the nature of trust. Human strength is limited, and worldly security can fail, but God's protection is unfailing. The psalm invites us to shift our focus from fear to faith, from self-reliance to divine reliance. When we acknowledge that our safety comes not from walls, weapons, or wealth, but from the One who commands the universe, we begin to experience the depth of His promises. It is not about ignoring danger. It is about knowing that no danger is greater than the hand that guards us. Ultimately, the message of Psalm 91 is that those who choose to dwell in the presence of God will experience His covering in ways that are beyond measure. His assurance is not temporary but eternal, not fragile but absolute. To carry this truth in our hearts is to walk with courage, to live with peace, and to rise each morning with the knowledge that the Lord Himself is watching over us. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that can grip the human heart. It has the ability to paralyze our actions, cloud our judgment, and rob us of peace. Psalm 91 addresses this reality by presenting a greater force than fear: faith in the living God. When the psalmist declares that no terror of the night, no arrow that flies by day, nor pestilence that stalks in darkness can harm us, it is not a denial of the existence of danger. Instead, it is a declaration that faith in God's power is greater than any threat we may encounter. Faith does not erase problems, but equips us to face them with courage, knowing that God has already gone before us. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It whispers in the silence of the night, feeds on the unknown and magnifies what we cannot control. Yet, faith shifts our focus from the unknown to the one who knows all things. To trust God means to surrender the burden of control, to believe that He is working behind the scenes even when our eyes cannot see it. Fear says, "You are alone in this struggle." Faith responds, "The Lord is my refuge and fortress. I am never alone." In this way, faith becomes the shield that deflects the fiery arrows of doubt and despair. Psalm 91 reminds us that thousands may fall around us, yet those who trust in the Almighty will stand firm. This is not an encouragement to boast in personal strength, but to recognize that divine protection is not bound by statistics or circumstances. Faith over fear means walking confidently, even when the world is shaken, because our foundation is unshakable. It means standing in the middle of chaos and choosing peace, because we know who holds our future. Fear often exaggerates reality, while faith brings perspective. The psalm tells us that God's angels are commanded to guard us in all our ways. This truth shifts the focus from the size of the threat to the size of the God who surrounds us. Faith allows us to live not in denial of danger, but in defiance of fear. It empowers us to keep moving forward, not because the road is easy, but because we trust that the one leading us will never fail. When we embrace faith over fear, our daily life is transformed. Instead of waking up with anxiety about what might go wrong, we begin the day with gratitude, knowing that God is our covering. Instead of being overwhelmed by the uncertainties of tomorrow, we rest in the assurance that His promises never fail. This shift in mindset does not just change how we see the world, it changes how we live in it. We are able to face challenges with resilience, endure trials with hope, and walk through valleys with confidence, because faith has taken the place of fear. Prayer is not merely a ritual, it is the lifeline of the soul. Psalm 91 teaches us that those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High will abide under His shadow. Dwelling implies closeness, a continual state of connection with God, and prayer is the way we cultivate that closeness. Beginning each day with prayer transforms the way we experience life because it sets the tone for everything that follows. A morning prayer rooted in the promises of Psalm 91 is more than words spoken. It is an act of surrender, a declaration of trust, and a request for divine covering. It is saying, "Lord, I cannot face this day in my own strength, but with You, I can walk in confidence." Daily prayer serves as a spiritual shield. Just as a soldier would never enter the battlefield without armor, we should not step into the challenges of life without first clothing ourselves in the presence of God. Life is unpredictable. Some days bring joy and peace, while others bring trials and temptations. But when we begin with prayer, we are reminded that no matter what the day holds, God's presence surrounds us. Psalm 91 promises that His faithfulness will be our shield and rampart. That assurance becomes real when we take time to pray, to invite His protection over our families, our decisions, and our paths. Morning prayer also aligns our hearts with God's will. Too often, we rush into the day consumed by tasks, worries, or ambitions. Prayer reorients us, reminding us that our first priority is not success or productivity, but walking in step with the Almighty. It shifts our perspective from, "What can I achieve today?" to, "Lord, how can I serve You today?" This shift not only strengthens our faith, but also brings peace, because we are no longer striving in our own power, but resting in His guidance. Furthermore, prayer renews inner strength. The challenges of life can weigh heavily on our minds and spirits, draining us of joy and courage. But when we take time each morning to pour out our concerns before God, He fills us with renewed hope. His peace, which surpasses understanding, guards our hearts against anxiety and fear. Just as physical food strengthens the body, prayer nourishes the soul, equipping us to face the demands of the day with resilience. Finally, daily prayer is a testimony of trust. By praying each morning, we declare that God is not just a part of our lives, but the very foundation of it. We acknowledge that His promises are true and that His protection is real. Prayer doesn't guarantee that we will never face hardship, but it ensures that we will never face hardship alone. It is a daily reminder that the same God who parted seas, calmed storms, and delivered nations is watching over us today. To begin the morning with prayer is to walk in the confidence that no matter what comes our way, we are under the shadow of the Almighty. That confidence is the greatest strength we can carry into the day. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the powerful truth of Psalm 91, we are reminded of three unshakable realities. First, God's divine assurance of protection stands as our fortress in a world filled with uncertainty. Second, faith must always triumph over fear, for the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but of strength and courage. And third, daily prayer is the anchor that keeps us steady, renewing our hearts and aligning us with His promises. The world around us may change, storms may rise, and challenges may come, but the Word of God remains unbroken. Each morning is an opportunity to clothe ourselves with His presence, to walk in faith rather than fear, and to rest under the wings of His everlasting protection. This is not a promise limited to yesterday or tomorrow. It is a living promise for today, for this very moment, for each one of us who dares to trust. So as you begin each day, remember that you are never alone. The Lord fights for you. His angels guard you, and His love surrounds you. Step forward with courage, walk in the confidence of His word, and let your heart find rest in the shelter of the Almighty. May this truth guide you, strengthen you, and bless you abundantly today and always.